We must begin to develop, number one, and this is the most important thing we can do as a people. We must first develop an undying love for our people. Our people. Our people.
I can't be a pessimist because I'm alive. To be a pessimist means that you have agreed that human life is an academic matter. So I'm forced to be...
When a man is being criminally treated, that some criminal has the right to tell that man what tactics to use to get the criminal off his back. When a criminal starts misusing me, I am going to use whatever necessary to get that criminal off my back.
I might not be back. I might be in jail. I might be anywhere. But when I leave, you can remember I said with the last words on my lips that I am a revolutionary. And you're going to have to keep on saying that.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good night, whatever time you're watching this. This is Brian HRap B. Williams. This is the End of the Bench Media. A few minutes with HRap. We're revamping. This is no longer live. We're going to do this in a different way outside of the rapping with HRap and a few other programs that I do. This one will be pre-recorded and issued out. Now, if you want to get the entire episode, you go to www.theendofthebench.com, www.theendofthebench.com. You can watch it in its entirety. Thank you for the support. Now, if you want to watch it in bits and pieces and then go to theendofthebench.com, salute. Thank you for all the support. Hit that like, hit that share, tell a friend to tap in, subscribe, share, do everything you can to support me because we have a mission. We've always had a mission. We have a mission. Information, the power of information is today's episode. And before I do anything, I'll do it the way I do it all the time. I want to thank my parents, Dolores and John. Dolores is my mom. John is my dad. They came together and created me. Without them creating me, you'd be doing something else with your valuable time. So thank you. Now, as I stated a second ago, the power of information. Information is king in this world. Information is king in this world. Without it, you will be lost. You don't know how to get anywhere. You don't know what to purchase. Let's reduce it down to the lowest form. Without information, you can't even cook. Recipes are information. Without information, you can't watch sports. Knowing the rules, understanding what you're watching. Without information, a movie isn't as engaging as it could be. You need information. There is power in information, and there is a deficit in information in the working class community from coast to coast, border to border. And that's how the people at the top continue to take advantage of us because they have us fighting over in a box of crayons about color. They have us fighting about culture. They have us fighting about religion. They have us fighting about lifestyle and every other thing you can come up with. Meanwhile, while all those distractions are taking place, they're taking over. We have a tyrannical government at this point. We have a bunch of people who are comfortable being ignorant. And when you show them the truth, they ignore it. So what we have to do is stay informed, stay involved, and get into it. One of the things that like I tell you every day, every time you see me, I'm speaking directly to my people, but this benefits every person. You know, a rising tide lifts all boats. I am attempting to make my community the rising tide so we can lift all boats, but we will be the rising tide. The only way you can be the rising tide is if you're as powerful as possible. And if you're as powerful as possible, guess what happens? You will be in play. And that's all you need is opportunity. One of the things about my community that disturbs me is the information of we need to ... or other communities don't do ... The information is this. Some of the information is this. We haven't had the opportunity to do whatever you are assuming that we should be doing. It's been a long time. No, it hasn't been a long time. Some of us have had the privilege of having elders live 99 to 100 years, 85, 90 years. Guess what? The country itself is only 250 years old. I'm going to say it slowly. The country itself is only 250 years old. Of those 250 years, 160 of those have been emancipated years for our community. None of those years have not had the government attempting to put us back into physical, spiritual, and mental bondage. Therefore, have you ever been free in this country? No, you haven't. No, you have not. You can convince yourself, I can go get a job. Well, a job is a job, just over broke. I can do what I want to do. No, you can't. I don't care what level you're on. If you're extremely financially secure, you still don't have that privilege. I've seen video recordings. I've seen judges. I've seen multimillionaires. I've seen billionaires be harassed and accosted throughout this world because of what they look like. So you're not truly free. And the only reason you're not truly free is because you continue to try to inculcate yourself into a culture and a system that consistently attempts to spit you out. And that's because you have a lack of information. I'm going to talk about unity at the end of this. I'm going to talk about how much we must get together at the end of this, and then you'll see. But first and foremost, we need to cover the power of knowing. The power of knowing is information. When you know what you're up against, when you know the obstacles that are in front of you, when you know who is diametrically opposed to you, you should be able to navigate through that and not have any or as many problems as you would in living in a traditional sense. But for whatever reason, we don't want to live in that world in which people don't want to be bothered with us. We want to live in a world where everybody gets along and be friendly. But that's just never been the world on earth. Everyone is, when you look at things from a spiritual or a biblical sense, the very first chapter in the Bible is chaotic. Later on in that Bible, you have guys who throw their brother in a pit and take his fancy jacket. You have Noah. I mean, every story in the Bible you've met with is a good person being met with angst. So, this kumbaya situation is not that. But what you do see is hope. What you do see is people coming together saying, we will do this and we will make ourselves self-sustaining and we will build up something to keep people away from us, and then we'll live as happily as possible, never forgetting what happened previously to that. And that is the dictionary definition of the power in knowing. If you know the world is chaotic, if you know the world is violent, if you know the world is filled with people, what it's not filled with, that has a ton of people who are not as honorable as you are, then you know how to prepare. You don't cut off everybody. You don't disjoint yourself from society. What you do is you prepare. You surround yourself with as many people who think like you, act like you, have the same moral compass as you, and the same ultimate goal as you. And the other people you weed out, and you keep them, you feed them with a long handled spoon, and you keep them to a distance to whereas they cannot hurt you. When you have an organization, you may have to deal with a person with a nefarious mind state in order to benefit from their skill, but never giving them the power to hurt you. What I want us to understand, Black folks, is this. At no point in these United States of America have we been able to trust anyone by and large. But you know what? Excuse me. As we live in this country, as we survive in this country, and as we thrive in this country, we can come together and use all the information that we have. The fact that we've invented dozens and tons, actually hundreds of things that benefit everybody in society. Stop saying what we've invented and start embracing the information about what we've invented so you'll understand. Stop saying they need to stop, because they will not. We need to do this. What you need to do is come together with a group of friends, family members, preferably family members, and create something in which you can build a successful community. You can build a successful environment. You can build successful relationships, and you galvanize through those relationships, almost like in the city of Troy with the Trojan horse. If you come together, no one has to have a perfect situation, but you must have like-minded people around you willing to build a society in which we all can thrive in. Will we have people with nefarious mind states even in that? Of course. It's the nature of the threat. It will always be one. That's the beauty in it. If you know that something may go wrong, you prepare and you put yourself in a position to whereas in the event that nefarious activity takes place, you won't be in a deficit. And I don't think we've done that. We've always tried to weave our way into society. Let's look at government. We were duped into believing that Dr. King wanted to inculcate the black community or incorporate the black community into American society. No, he wanted the opportunities to be equal across the board. But we took it as, I want to go over there. So we stopped shopping at our in our industries that we built, and we went over to Macy's and Gimbel's and Marshall Field and Dillard's and or whatever the big name fancy store is in your area. We could have just stayed where we are. We stopped using our people who, you know what the funny thing is a season at the end of academic year called prom season. And we go and have people in our community create suits and dresses and things of that nature, but we don't use those same tailors to create our work clothing. Do you understand? When you you go to New York and you see a guy like Dapper Dan, and Dapper Dan had a whole warehouse where he was replicating Gucci and Guess and Louis Vuitton, and he ended up being incarcerated for it. But guess what? Now those same companies hire him because they like his designs. Just imagine if he'd have just put Dapper Dan on all his stuff. Dapper Dan would be a billionaire right now because there would be people from our community flying in all over the country. And there's a Dapper Dan in every major metropolitan area in these United States of America. But we walked away from him because we want to buy Gucci and Guess and Louis Vuitton and anybody else who presents something that makes us feel as if what we're doing with them is valuable. Leather is leather. Silk is silk. Fine cotton is fine cotton, or wherever you get it, you can put it in place and have your people dressed to the nines, and then guess what? Other people will come see you. We watch television shows like Power, when you had the guy Ghost. In the business world, he would have his suits tailor-made. That is opulence. That is how you look good, when you have clothes that are cut to your size for you, by you, and you're the only person in the world that will wear that suit. That's how you be. That's how you stand out. Buying the same pair of jeans that the next 90 people have is not fashionable. It is not fashion forward. But see, we've forgotten that. See, you saw things like zoot suits, and you saw people dressed to the nines, and you see these old pictures of us, and you think that those people bought that off the rack. No. See, I'm a very spiritual man. And God guides me in every way, shape, form, and fashion of my life. And if you think I'm perfect, you have officially lost your mind. But God has shown me every single day of my life the flaws that I made, the mistakes that I made. Yeah, I either fix them or I continue to live through them and I continue to struggle. But what I have seen is the fact that God has made it so your enemy will show you exactly what the game plan is, show you exactly how to win, and it's up to you to enact that victory. And what I mean by that is this. I watched that television show Ghost, and I noticed he always had, if it wasn't athletic attire, he had his own line of clothing. He dressed the way he dressed, which does away with spending an exorbitant amount of money on fashion, because it's cheaper to have a tailor-made suit, a suit that probably costs you $300 to $500 with the material to make and everything, versus buying a $2,000 Tom Ford suit or whoever suit that you want to buy, because this suit is a Brian Williams. And then when I have the knowledge of knowing that the light bulb was perfected by me, the auto industry was perfected by me, when the walkie-talkie by Granville Woods is the grandfather to the cell phone, that's a black man's invention, and heart surgery being enacted in the late 1800s with no x-ray material and things like that. The preserving of blood so you can get a transfusion, that was created by me. All these things that benefit mankind are created by me. And guess what? I don't even know it. Therefore, I always think someone has to help me. I said 2 days ago, or a few days ago, asking the power structure to help the black community out of the situation that it put us in is equivalent to being essayed and then asking the person who essayed you to help you feel better. The information, the power in information, the power in knowing will only put us in an advantageous situation, because then you'll never feel bad about being who you are. And then you'll continue to look backward and go, hey, who did this? Who was the first? do yourself and me a favor and the community a favor. The very next time you have a thought or watch a television show, you have this computer in your hand. You have this computer in your hand every day. Most of us have that computer in our hand every day. And what I want us to understand is use that computer. It's either a tool or a toy. Shout out to the elder Chuck D. It's either a tool or a toy. And with that tool, you can find out, man, who's the first person to make a laptop? And this back mapping, I guarantee you somebody from our community. So if they can do it, and people who were fresh out of slavery in the 1800s can conduct the very first heart surgery, where did he get the education from? Where did he get that knowledge from? Guess what? They were doing neurosurgery, brain surgery, and on the pyramids and meta-netures, not hieroglyphics. It's meta-netures. Notice you see how you just potentially learn. Some of us just learn what meta-nature is. See, we have to do this because that's why they attack the people at the top, attacking education. They're attacking history. They're attacking culture. They're attacking everything. They're attacking spirituality and telling you what it is and what it's not. But when you do a little research, you find out what it is the bait and switch. And what it's not, that we are at a mental, emotional, or spiritual deficit. We're at a surplus. But if you're at a surplus of finances at the bank and you never go to the ATM or you never go inside the bank, or you never use your debit card, what good does that surplus do you? Information is at a surplus. If you feel that you're being wronged, look at Thurgood Marshall. Look at Pauli Murray. Look at some of the greatest legal minds in the United States of America, not just the Johnny Cochran who defend people who've been erroneously charged. Look at the people who changed the laws of the land. Look at Dr. Kings of the world and the people who he had around him. He was a great orator. That does not mean he also had a speechwriter. He also had people in the Southern Christian ministry who helped him with things that he didn't see. He just was able to verbalize. He was just able to verbalize it better than most. See, it's a team. It's a team. It's a team that's going to get you over the top. It's a team. So when you hear foolish diatribes like, no more new friends and I don't trust anybody, that is a idea perpetuated by somebody else. See, the thing is, capitalism makes you believe that you thought of something that you didn't. You did not think of that, and other people thought of it, and they put you in a disadvantage, and then you respond by regurgitating a foolish line of thinking that will only put you in a physical, mental, and spiritual deficit, and your community will follow, as well as your family. The reason people are able to do that, because they live without fear. And living without fear puts you in a deficit, puts you in an advantageous situation, because now you don't believe you can lose at any point. And if you believe you can always win, you will try things that you normally wouldn't. And the only reason you would do that is you have no natural predator. No natural predator. Nobody is hunting the people at the top at this point. And I'm going to be frank. Nobody's hunting the rich white people of this country. No one has ever hunted them. When they came on the shores, when you read the story of Hiawatha, when you read the story that they tell you about the pilgrims, the natives that were here, they welcomed them, and then they got attacked. They were hunted. And then the people who look like me, who were already here, they were hunted as well. And then you had people who shipped people from the Caribbean and shipped people over from the continent and forced them into permanent indentured servitude. They were hunted. The agricultural people were hunted because they couldn't till the land. The architectural people were hunted because they couldn't build on this land. The scientists were hunted so they can get rid of things like smallpox, which a black man introduced vaccination to George Washington and his team when they got defeated, and helped them get rid of smallpox. See, science has always been a part of our upbringing. Creativity has always been a part of us. Music has always been a part of us. And they continue to tell you that it wasn't. And all they tell you about is the violent acts. So when you are the predator, you, as they say, the hunter tells the story. Now, let the lion tell the story. It's a different story. The lion tells the story of a brutal man going through this land we call North America and almost eradicating the buffalo, and almost eradicating the bald eagle, and almost eradicating the condor, and almost eradicating hundreds of animals that were indigenous to this land because they have no natural predator. Am I asking for violence? No, because we're not violent. Because if we were, it'd be a different story. I wouldn't have to do this program. But what I want you to understand is this. We could be predators now. We could be financial predators. We could be spiritual predators. We could be fiscal predators. Fiscal, not physical, fiscal predators. We can hunt down fiscal responsibility. We can hunt down the ownership of property. We can hunt down the laws of this land. We can hunt down the tyranny and the people who are enacting physical harm against other people via the law. You can be a predator. You can be an apex predator of righteousness because the people you have, they have no predator. Nobody has pushed them. Nobody has pressed them. That's why you have people on TV. We're the best. We're the biggest. We're the strongest. If it wasn't for me, and we, and they know that they haven't invented, if anything, not many things. Every time they come up with something and you can back map it, we're standing at the front of that table. Even simple things, pleasures, spirits like Jack Daniels, a guy named Nearest had that formula, and they've made probably hundreds of billions of dollars off that. See, it's the simple things, but when they are on their heels, either they will make peace or they'll be done away with. They'll be pressed at the bottom. We can no longer allow people to sit at the top and dominate us without any threat. We don't have to involve ourselves into this thing, which leads me to the most important thing of this episode is this. Building takes a team. We need a team. No new friends and I don't need anybody. That is the way you get defeated. I'm a person who leans on God and I look at nature, which is God. Whether you agree or disagree, I really don't care. If you're listening to understand, you'll hear me. If you're listening to retort, you won't, and you've literally wasted some of your day. But if you really want to listen to understand, this is what I have to say to you. Building takes a team. The way God designed it, we're all in tribes. You can say, well, Polish tribe and all the countries on the continent and all the countries on Asia and all the countries on the Western Asia that they call Europe and all the countries that are over here, we're all tribes. But those tribes have idiosyncrasies that would benefit everybody in the world. Now we can work together and become a great world, or we can continue to work together as individual like tribes, and then we'll find ourselves in a situation to whereas we can't be stopped. But the beauty in our tribe, if we build a team, our tribe helps out everybody. As I back mapping to the beginning of the show, a rising tide lifts all boats. Throughout time immemorial, we've been that tide. When you read the diary of Christopher Columbus, or actually that's not his name, but for the sake of this conversation, Christopher Columbus, he literally stated when he got over here to the Caribbean, he saw black people with gold-tipped spears that is indigenous to the continent, which means those people, and look at their woolly hair. He described a black man and a black woman. When you look at the history of Turtle Island, aka North America, aka the United States of America and Canada and Mexico, North America, you find 400 years before Christopher Columbus was even born in my state of Illinois. If you go spelunking at caves in the southern part of Illinois, you find indigenous to Africa artifacts that predate Columbus's birth by 400 years. When you look at the state of California, which is California comes from a fable of Western Africa, and how do you name it? California then. And you are across the United States and then across the Atlantic Ocean. That means we've touched every point of this globe. But if you are separated and dejected, foundational Black Americans, indigenous Black Americans. If you want to separate yourself in your tribe, embrace your tribe, if that's the case. But you know what? If you come together with your tribe and foundational Black Americans, migrated Black Americans, Africans in America, Canadian Americans, Mexican Americans, and guess what? You have a fist, and you fight with a fist. You be unstoppable with a fist. You can break appendages. A fist is rarely broken. You may break a bone in a fist, but if the punch is thrown properly, you will have a difficult time breaking a fist. It won't be unbroken, but if you want to build something, you build it together. If you want to build something, you go to One United Bank, or you follow Bernice King, Dr. King's daughter, and look at the digital bank that she's creating with a group of investors out of Utah. And it will be a physical bank. And you take, a portion of your paycheck, and you take it out of these traditional banks, and you put it there. According to Nuri Muhammad, we have more finances traveling through the Black community than 27 nations on this earth. Nations! And it's just an unorganized mass of people. What happens if we come together? See, we can build a team that will put out edicts. See, we don't have to make the Black Panther Party self-defense. We don't have to make the Nation of Islam anymore. Those things are created. We don't have to deal with these separate entities. What we can do is move in silence as a group. Like Mansa, it's a version of YouTube, and it's a version of Tubi. That it's also a version of Roku, Tubi, and YouTube, where Black creators and Black ownership have Black information, and they even have, it's a multicultural channel, but it's owned by us. If we download that and we start watching stuff over there, and we slowly migrate. Oh, and we made TikTok pop. If it wasn't for us, TikTok and Facebook and Instagram would be nothing. What that means, we need to start slowly migrating to fan base and spill. Slowly migrating to fan base and spill, and getting away from X. Oh man, we have to be in all places. No, because if we are the center, if we're the team that everybody's watching, why do we need to know what everybody else is doing? Because if we made the music, and we made the cuisine, and we created the spirit, and we introduced, because we can't invent the creator of the universe, but if we can introduce to the world monotheology, the study of one God, why wouldn't everybody be paying attention to us? Oh man, we made country music. The banjo is an African instrument. The drum is an African instrument. Rhythm and blues is us. R&B is us. Big band is us. If that is the case, and you truly understand and believe that, create your team, build your team, and make your team the most powerful. Because guess what? There's nothing that we can't do. And if you truly believe that, why don't you exercise that thought process? Why don't you exercise that mentality? Why don't you exercise your ability to be unstoppable across all opportunities? Instead of blending in, like making black coffee, why would you seek out sugar? Why would you seek out creamer? When the strongest is the black coffee, and it's delicious, and it's engaging, and it's rewarding. Why would you do that? You shouldn't want to do that. I don't think you should want to do that. And guess what? That doesn't mean you lock out anybody. We can still be welcoming. But as I stated, if you assume that you'll be under attack, why would you allow yourself to be under attack? We can no longer afford to be victimized or make claims of victimhood if we're not willing to work together and create a universe in which we can win. We will be infiltrated. We will be attacked. But again, if you learn your past, you'll understand why you are where you are, and it will help you navigate the future. The past is, when you do this, chaos and violence and turbulence are on the way. And that's how we got here. But now going forward, we will understand that those things are coming, and prepare. And when we will prepare physically. We will prepare spiritually. We will prepare mentally. and we will have success at the end of that preparation. You know, opportunity meets preparation, and we have creation, and we will be successful. With that being said, thank you for tapping in. I'm Brian HRap B. Williams. This is the End of the Bench Media. You want to reach out to me? Here's a way to do it. You can also reach out to me at theendofthebench@gmail.com, THAENDOFDABENCH. Please visit www.theendofthebench.com. And if you haven't already subscribed to the End of the Bench Media, you'll get these clips, you'll get this information, you'll get the interview and this episode and its entirety on the End of the Bench Media. Thank you. This is your man HRap B. It is wonderful seeing you as I do on a regular basis. Thank you for tapping in. Have a wonderful day. I am, and you already know, you'll never hear me say it, but I
cannot build wealth and power until you have a community. We are the only people in this nation that do not have one single solitary community. You cannot acquire power and wealth without a community, and yet we do not have one single black community in America. That's from New York to San Diego. To have a community, you must have three things in it, Paul. You must have a wholly independent economic structure, just like you got one down here in Asia Town. Two, you must have a code of conduct on how you're going to treat each other, and how you're going to interact with each other, and how you're going to deal with each other and bargain with each other. And thirdly, you must have some form of governance that will control and regulate the behavior of people in your community and deal with other organizations outside your community. Blacks do not qualify on either one of those terms. We do not have communities. So consequently, without a community, you have no place to store your wealth, your value, your history, your culture, your employment, and your business opportunities.